The debate for who the number one quarterback is for the 2026 NFL Draft is very much up in the air right now. There are a handful of names that you will see at the top of many people's draft boards, but the name that I see most consistently at QB1 is LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier is coming off a really productive season in 2024, but made the decision to return to school for the 2025 season. We have seen this movie before, with an LSU quarterback making a massive statement in his final season, and today we will be talking about if Nussmeier has what it takes to be a first-round quarterback in next year's NFL Draft. Before we get into it, however, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. We will be doing tons of these prospect spotlights each and every week leading up to the 2026 NFL Draft class. Comment down below which players you guys would want to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is a really unique case study in the modern era of college football. Nussmeier was a 4-star quarterback from the 2021 recruiting class and was ranked as a top 100 player. He decided to commit to LSU. However, Nussmeier didn't start a game until the 2023 bowl game against Wisconsin. He sat behind Jaden Daniels, learned the offense, and became the starter in the 2024 season. It's very rare that you see a quarterback sit and learn and develop in the modern era of college football, but in his first year as a starter, it appeared to pay off for Nussmeier. He threw for 4,043 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions on the season, completing 64% of his passes on the year. He is a player who flashed some really high upside from the 1 year he played as a starter, and a guy who has a lot of buzz entering the draft class. The first thing that I think really sticks out when you watch Nussmeier on tape is his ability to throw with anticipation and throw wide receivers open. Some of the timing throws that you see him make are absolutely ridiculous. Nussmeier is an incredibly smart quarterback who reads zone coverage incredibly well and efficiently, and when he sees an open window, he can absolutely rip it. That's what I love most about him, and he did it very effectively for LSU last season. Some of the plays he made in the Ole Miss game are some of the best throws you'll see from any quarterback in this draft cycle. I think he throws with excellent timing and anticipation, but I also love how quick of a processor he is. I thought he showed the ability to scan the field really well, go through his progressions, and make quick decisions with the football. He was really quick at getting the ball out on RPOs and screens. I think that's a big strength in his game. I also think he has fantastic ball placement and can put the ball on an absolute string where only his receivers can get it. It was Michael Penix-esque at times, just how on a dime he could throw the ball, and I'm really excited about that with his game. One thing that I have seen going around on Nussmeier as a potential weakness is that people are concerned about his arm strength. And to tell you guys the truth, I don't see that whatsoever with Nussmeier. I thought Nussmeier showed really great arm strength to make throws at all 3 levels of the field. He showed the ability to push the ball down the middle, but even more importantly, I thought his deep ball was pretty enticing. He showed some really good arm strength to make throws for well over 40 yards, and the ball absolutely flies off his hand. He completed 36% of his passes for over 20 yards, and ultimately, I'm not worried about his arm strength at all, and I view it as a strength in his game. The thing that I think will hold Nussmeier back, and something that could really limit him in this draft class, are the lack of elite athletic traits. There's really not much to work with when it comes to Nussmeier. According to his spring measurements, Nussmeier is 6 foot, 204 pounds, which is not ideal in the slightest for a quarterback. He is a small and pudgier quarterback with not much of a rushing threat at all. He's rumored to run somewhere around a 4.8 40-yard dash, and without the ability to make plays with his legs, I think he is probably going to be more limited to a pocket passer role at the next level. And that does worry me a little bit, because fewer and fewer of these guys work out in the NFL, and I think you need a little bit more ability than what Nussmeier brings to the position. We mentioned the ability to make tight window throws and the ability to put the ball on an absolute string, but I think that can come back to hurt Nussmeier at times. There are so many instances where he can get overly aggressive and he tries to force the ball into windows that just aren't there. He threw for 12 interceptions on the season and had 18 turnover-worthy plays per PFF. I think he has to do a better job of not trying to force it and take better care of the football, and I do think that he does really get ahead of himself at times. I also worry about some of his overall mechanics. When it comes to his throwing motion, I felt as if he was consistently throwing the ball at a weird sidearm motion, and I do think it can affect the amount of velocity he is able to put on the ball. On top of that, I worry about his overall footwork and pocket feel. The Alabama game was one of the toughest watches for any quarterback in this class because when he feels pressure, he has a really bad tendency to throw off of his back foot, which is one of the biggest concerns I have with him. I don't think he sensed pressure very well, and I do think this is fixable with more and more reps, but I do have concerns about his footwork, his overall mechanics, and his limited athletic ability. Garrett Nussmeier is a really unique quarterback because I don't think he has great tools. He's not a great athlete, he doesn't have very good size, and while we praise his arm strength, I think it's above average. I wouldn't necessarily even view it as an elite arm. However, despite the lack of tools, Nussmeier does show some elite level processing, touch, and overall feel for the quarterback position. He was a tough one for me to rank in this class, and ultimately, I am a little bit lower on Garrett Nussmeier than the consensus. I have him as my number 8 quarterback entering the year, and a borderline first round grade on him. He comes in with more of a second round grade to me. I worry about the inconsistent mechanics, the lack of athleticism, and the ball security is a big deal for me. He is very much a gunslinger, and while that can work in college, I do worry about how it will translate to the NFL level. Nussmeier, I think, profiles as your more standard pocket passer at the next level. He's not a player who will play in a heavy RPO offense, and I see him being a quarterback who plays in a heavy play-action scheme with a lot of quick outs and easy passes for him to make. I think he fits perfectly in more of a Shanahan-style offense, playing in that Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan mold of quarterback, if you will. And that leads me right into my comparison, and Garrett Nussmeier does remind me a lot of Kirk Cousins. Cousins was a really solid quarterback in his prime, who I consistently found underrated. He had a good arm, made quick decisions with the ball, however, the overall ceiling of your team is limited with Cousins as your quarterback, simply because he lacks elite traits, he did have some turnover questions at times, and the mechanics were not all the way there. I think Nussmeier is very similar to that type of a player. I think he can be a good to great starter, but I don't know if I would ever view him as an elite top tier quarterback at the next level. Garrett Nussmeier is a gunslinger. He has a great arm, is an excellent processor, and is a guy who has a lot of buzz entering the 2026 college football season. I'm very interested to see how he plays out, but ultimately I do worry about what his skill set looks like at the next level, and ultimately I believe that Garrett Nussmeier will be a top 100 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft.